Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilwoman Kelly Bilodeau. It is 6 p.m. and I am calling the Public Works, Parks, Recreation, and Environment Committee to order on September 24th, 2025. This committee meeting is being live broadcasted on the following outlets: Comcast 96, Frontier 6032, HPA-TV.org, HPA-TV Facebook page, HPA-TV's YouTube channel, HPA-TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, and Amazon TV apps. This meeting will also be rebroadcast on HPA-TV's YouTube channel and Facebook page. Joining me tonight are my council colleagues, Councilman John Gale, a voting member, Councilman Alex Thomas, also a voting member. I see on the screen we have Councilman Amilcar Hernandez here as well joining us. We have PRAC Chair Naisha McCauley, and I believe I saw the Director of Public Works, Chris Hayes, is on. With that said, we have two items on the agenda tonight for this committee. The first item is item 2.1. This is an ordinance from Councilmember Gale and Councilmember Hernandez, ordinance amending Chapter 31, Article 3, Sections 31-87 and 31-95 of the Municipal Code of Hartford to preserve the safety of city streets and sidewalks, post-construction by utilities and others, and post-repaving by the city. And I believe, Councilman Gale, you were going to speak to this item.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Let me give you a little bit of background and then tell you where I think we are tonight. Councilman Hernandez and I got together back in April and had a couple of concerns that we thought would benefit from an ordinance change. There were two concerns. One was the concern that when the streets are being repaved, you see we have all these milling and paving operations that take place around town, and often once the street's milled and then it's repaved, there's a manhole cover that's now an inch below the surface of the new pavement, or a water, one of these smaller water access points that's sitting down below grade, and those things really should be brought up to grade. That is the policy generally for all municipalities. It didn't seem as though Hartford was very good at getting the contractors to make it happen. So the discussion was, let's put some teeth into the ordinance to hopefully make that happen. But I will say that this was very much a two-stage process. Councilman Hernandez understanding that in order for the city to enforce such a policy, it was first necessary for the city to have the manpower to do so. And one of the problems that we learned, was that DPW did not have building inspectors or adequate not building inspectors, but street inspectors that could go out and inspect to be able to enforce this. So, and Councilman Hernandez, you can correct me where I'm wrong here, but I believe the way this functioned was 2 years ago in our budget, Councilman Hernandez specifically requested some additional money be put into the DPW budget to provide for the hiring of one or more street inspectors. I don't recall if it's one or two. And that was put in 2 years ago, and it was on the basis of now having those street inspectors, and I believe Director Hayes can confirm that they've hired at least one and maybe both positions. It now felt like we could pass this ordinance and we actually might see some results because we have the people to do it. The second part of this ordinance was the annoying result of so many of the repairs that we see on our streets, where a repair is done, the contractor puts a patch in the road and leaves, and whatever yellow line used to be there is no longer there. Whatever white markings used to be there are no longer there. And you have this patchwork quilt all over the city. So we wanted to address that aspect. So with those two concerns, we submitted an ordinance, I believe it's dated April 14th. And mind you, when this ordinance was submitted, we had already vetted it with the Director of Public Works and his staff and received back a number of comments. So the version that was ultimately introduced in April already had some input from the director. Subsequent, however, and that is in fact what's attached to this agenda item. What you have attached to the agenda item is the original ordinance as introduced by us April 14th. Subsequent to April 14th, in this committee, there were some new concerns raised by Corporation Counsel. I think it was Councilor Coombs at the time, and it was agreed that we would sit down and further look at the ordinance and its effect. And that indeed happened. There were several meetings with myself, Councilman Hernandez, Director Hayes, as well as Assistant Corporation Counsel Coombs, at which time various other changes were made to the ordinance. So having gone through that process, it's now 6 months later. We have what we believe to be a final version that does have a number of changes. And I provided everybody by email today a copy of the final version. And I'm looking at it, and perhaps Director Hayes, you were not on that email. And I can pull this up and we can put it on the screen if we like. But this is the version that was signed off by Corporation Counsel as a result of the last changes that were made at a meeting that included Director Hayes. And we've been advised by Corporation Counsel that these changes are significant enough that the matter should go back to public hearing. So what I'm here tonight to propose is first that the ordinance that was referred to committee on April 14th be amended, and that the amendment be as set forth in the document that was shared earlier today with you, that's entitled Amendment to Street Excavations 41425 version 8/21/2025 in parens 2. And again, if you like, Madam Chair, I can try to pull that up on the screen to show what we're looking at. But the first matter of business, I believe, tonight is to approve that as an amendment to the ordinance. And after we approve that as an amendment, assuming we do, I would then move to send the whole thing back, the amended version back to council with our recommendation and with the indication that it should be sent from council back to public hearing before acted upon.
Okay, so do we have any questions regarding the amendment or any discussion? I know there's not many of us on here tonight.
Through you, Madam Chair, Director Chris Hayes, Public Works.
Yes.
I would just like to echo Councilman Gale's statements. This was worked on in collaboration. I've seen the final version from Corporation Counsel's office, and it's been a great partnership to try to make these adjustments, and DPW's in full support.
Excellent. So I don't see that we have any discussion, and I would just say, I appreciate the good work of my colleagues, because this is a matter that comes up often in the community. And I look forward to seeing, the positive results of this resolution, this ordinance. So I'll entertain a motion for us to accept the amendment.
So move. And again, just for the record, the amendment is document entitled Amendment to Street Excavations 4-14-25 version or V 8-2125 in paren 2.
Thank you. Do we have a
Second.
second? Very good. The motion has been made and seconded to accept the amendment on the ordinance presented. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. We will now entertain the ordinance as amended.
So I would move that we send the ordinance as amended back to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Okay. The ordinance has been properly motioned to send it back with favorable recommendation as amended to the full council and has been properly seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
No opposed. The item will go back to the full council with favorable recommendation as amended. Thank
And
you
with
also.
I would just ask that our report back to council note that per corporation council, this needs to go back to a public hearing.
Absolutely. We will make sure of that. Thank you, Councilman Gale. The next item we have on the agenda is item 2.2. We have Naisha McCauley here to present special event recommendations from PRE. So you have the floor.
Good evening. Thank you, counselors. Naisha McCauley, I'm the chair of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission. I represent Bushnell Park Conservancy on the commission. But as you know, the commission is made up of largely all of the larger parks friends groups. And we also consist of some at-large commissioners as well. The special events recommendations, this is our presentation to this committee, is something that the commission has been working on for the past couple of months, just reviewing city policies as well as collecting input from the different commissioners on the process of special events in our parks. As you know, our parks are busy. We have robust events and programming that happen all throughout the entire year. And with that, we have noticed a few areas in which we ultimately would like to work in closer partnership with the city to ensure that the use of our parks ultimately are as intended. And that is the major thrust of the recommendation, is that Hartford, as a system of parks, each park has unique features as well as a intended purpose when it was created. Each park has its own origin story. For instance, Bushnell Park was the first publicly funded park voted on by city residents. Other parks were endowed to the city, such as Colt. And with that creation, there also was an intended use. And so we would like that to be sort of officially recognized, that each park has an intended use, and therefore there should be certain events that are held in our parks. Not every event will match or fit into a city park because it falls outside sort of that intended use case for the park, or it extends beyond what the park can manage. What we attempted to do was bring forward an actual grid, if you will, that would outline what each park, the features of each park and the intended use case of each park. But as we got into that process, this is really something that the Friends group would have to work more closely with city staff in order to develop for each park. So in the presentation, in the document that was sent over, you have an example from Colt Park, for instance, where the Colt Park Foundation has listed the different features of the park, like the park has athletic fields, for instance, and the intended use of the athletic fields for athletic events. And basically those areas should be preserved for athletic events to take place on them. So each park in our minds should have a similar sort of appendix that goes along with them for city staff to refer to, that this is the type of event that should be programmed in the park. This is the area within the park that event or program should take place. And we respect those sort of requests to be honored for the use of the park. That's the major thrust of our recommendations. The intended use case. The second major recommendation is that the special events coordinator has the authority to permit these special events in the park. And so with that, a closer working relationship with DPW, so that if there are event organizers who are not following or abiding by city policies and park rules, that event organizer would either be fined or maybe not allowed to continue to host events in the park until certain things are remedied. We have several examples where event organizers are doing things like allowing vendors to pour oil down our sewer drains. There's multiple things. Some event organizers don't even bother to obtain a permit. We've had instances where a permitted event is in the park and a non-permitted event is competing, and it has shown up in that park and is now competing with this other event. There's all kinds of things that are taking place, and the special events coordinator, as the one who is permitting these events, should be made aware that there has been instances where they're not abiding by the rules and either pay a fine or some sort of insurance is held, or bond, or whatever the case is, or they're just not allowed to continue to violate our city ordinances and rules. So that's the thrust of what we are recommending and would like to see as we go forward. I think this is a work in progress. We understand enforcement is a resource constraint at this time. We only have one person who is sort of overseeing all of the events that get scheduled throughout the city. And so enforcement and follow-up is a constraint. That could be something that, as we look at the needs of the city and staffing levels, this may be an area in which it could be beefed up, because we have so much programming that is taking place in our city parks that it really is an area that needs to be addressed. And I only see the increase of special events being scheduled in our parks, not a decrease. And particularly as Keeney is in the process of developing their master plan, there will only be more special events being scheduled. And so this recommendation is just in an effort that we tighten up this area of the city as we want to preserve and protect our city parks. So that's the thrust of our recommendation.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much for your presentation, and I look forward to continuing the discussion about these things. Is there any questions from any council members? Any concerns? Go ahead, Councilman Gale.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Naisha, and thank all of PRAC for all the hard work that PRAC does. It's greatly appreciated, and PRAC has been one of those commissions that's been very active over the years, and that's a great thing because we have some other commissions that are kind of dormant. Really appreciate it. And to your point, I think you're absolutely right. Our parks are seeing more and more use, and I think in many respects that's a wonderful thing. Historically, Keeney Park has been tremendously underutilized over the years. It's a huge park, and there's probably many other wonderful opportunities for people to enjoy different aspects of Keeney. But at the same time, to your point, we have to make sure that the parks aren't destroyed. No particular activity pushes other people aside or unduly pushes other people aside or out of their use of the park. So anyway, happy to see these things. I will say you're probably going to get a little pushback on some of the recommendations. I suspect that the city wouldn't want to give a right of first refusal to friends groups or PRAC commissioners on different events that the city, if administration and council decides they're going to hold something, I doubt we're going to want to allow PRAC to exercise a right of first refusal. And same thing, I think, but having said that, I think, and I know we've built this into other resolutions already, I think we would always do things in consultation with PRAC. You list parking here, and that friends groups and PRAC should be able to review parking plans for all events, and I absolutely agree. We should always be getting input. I think it's incredibly valuable input. We should always have input from our friends groups who work very hard for all, and I think all the major parks have a friends group at this point, and that's a wonderful thing. And all our PRAC commissioners who work very hard as volunteers. But as I say, and I would absolutely see us at all times consulting with them. Not sure they would have veto power, but consultation power. So anyway, those are my comments, and I take it from this committee's perspective, we're just receiving this report, Madam Chair. Is that the idea?
That would be correct. Yeah, we'll receive that, we'll put it on the record, and we will have this for future discussions. And I agree with everything that Councilman Gale was saying, and I think I would be interested in having a further discussion about what your thoughts are on what you're speaking about in terms of any damage or, situations where the city could recover some of the cost of either repairs or whatever occurs that shouldn't be occurring in the park. So I look forward to having that discussion. Councilman Thomas, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I was just looking over the report, and thank you for sending it over. And I just agree with Councilman Bilodeau that I just would like to have further conversation, and also, if possible, receive some input from other friends groups as well, just on how they feel in terms of special events that they would like to happen, and even just how they feel about how ordinances are currently written, in the city, and just have some conversations just in general, just about our parks, and that's pretty much it. But thank you so much for your presentation and sending it over, and I think we should definitely take a look at it and have further conversations.
Thank you, Councilman. Do we have anything else that we'd like to discuss tonight? Any other business? I don't have anything else on the agenda, but if there's any other comments, we can entertain those at this time. Hearing none, we have no other business, so I will now adjourn this meeting.
Oh.
Thank you all. It's great to see you all. Have a good evening.
All right.